I'm hoping everyone's had enough fluid to lubricate, because you need those vocal cords. We're going to have a lot of interactive activity today. You'll be collaborating, you'll be playing a lot today, which will be great, a lot of fun. But first and foremost, welcome everyone to SydDT Design Thinking number 118. It is an absolute pleasure to have such a diverse group of people come together every month and play with the concepts of design, and really we all come from different worlds, and some work in design, some are just interested in design, want to work, learn more, some are students wanting to get into the industry as well, and it's just, I love that diversity and I love the community that we see a lot of the same faces coming into the group every month. We also see a lot of new faces as well, so it's a really great Pacifical community that is just, it lives and breathes because all of you are here tonight, so thank you to you, everyone in this room. Tonight we're going to be talking about wicked solutions for wicked problems, and I'll get into that in a second. Before we go into that, I want to pay our respects to the traditional custodians of the land upon which we're meeting, the Gadigal people, and honour the leaders that are past, present and emerging, and really pay respects to what they do for us in the way we can learn about culture and land and connection and community. Too many lessons they can teach us nowadays. Stokesy. Woo! 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 We've got to do that for the sponsors. This wouldn't be possible without our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Sarah and I work for Atlassian. I'm in the design team. This QR code is for those of you who may be interested in senior design roles. We have design roles in Sydney, senior, IC and manager roles. So some design technologists, ops.
No, we filled that.
Oh, we filled the ops. Take a QR code, have a search for the thing there, and come and see me if you're interested later. Thank you, Lucas.
Woo! Thank you, Stacey. We also have a number of other sponsors here tonight. I'm going to call the two over here. One of them to come to talk about shapeshifters. They're sitting in our VIP lounge over there, people. That's a sponsors lounge, that's right.
We've been terribly antisocial this evening, but we're rushing towards trying to finish a project, so we're actually trying to start.
Hi everyone, I'm Diana, this is Alan, who had the mic, could have introduced himself.
I could have.
But we're from Shapeshifters and we do communication design. We help organizations and teams craft meaningful messages through visual storytelling. And we're very passionate about visual thinking. We believe that's something that anyone can do and bring it into their own practice to problem solve and to collaborate better. And that's why we're here today.
We also run our own meetup called Think Visual. It was here yesterday, so it's every second Wednesday of the month. But this evening we have Jayce over here, who is going to be live scribing this workshop. And this is part of the an initiative that we run with SydDT Design Thinking. So anybody who's interested in trying to understand visual thinking and how you might adopt some of those practices yourself, we provide some mentorship, so a mentorship session, and then give you an opportunity to try out live scribing. It is quite different than when you kind of sketch note it in your books, kind of in private. It's quite another thing when you're standing up in front of everybody and trying to do it. So hats off to Jayce, and please feel free to go up and have a chat to her. Obviously when she's done, but yes, do have a chat to her.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I hear that there's going to be lots of creativity and drawing today as well, so you'll be joining Jayce. So if at the end of the session you're excited to do more, just come chat to us. Thank you.
And just as an additional plug for the Think Visual Meetup, it is actually a morning meetup, which is what I think is really a great differentiator. So if you come in a little bit more early in the morning, you can still network within the design community. And it is a really awesome meetup. And Atlassian, great supporters of the community to get there as well. So thank you, Alan and Ben.
Yo.
Dynamic 4. G'day, I'm Ben.
from Dynamic 4, also SydDT, but Dynamic 4, we are a social enterprise and B Corp specialising in regenerative leadership, design and innovation. And how do we bring that set of things together to help create the conditions for people and communities to be happier? And I'm doing some research. Good click. So over the last while, I've been doing some research on the different expectations that you as people, leaders, teams are experiencing. So those expectations from your teams, from other stakeholders like customers, regulators, investors, how are they changing? What's happening over time? So I'm curious to hear your perspective. In the process, in the last sort of phases, there's been over 200 people participate in research so far. So starting to tail it off now into deep synthesis, and it'll at least be a research report, which you get, and probably a short book, which I haven't finalised that yet. And as a thanks for contributing and participating in the research, you get a digital copy of my book, Solve Problems That Matter, which I've already written 4 years ago. So that one's not a promise, this one's a promise. Thanks, and have a fun day.
There you go, just bookmark the QR code. I keep saying I'm going to do it, I will do it. I promise, Ben. He probably doesn't want my opinions though.
Valuable perspective.
I like the liberal use of the word valuable in the context of me. So, Ricardo, you want to give us a bit of a spiel on what's happening in your world?
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Ricardo. I'm the CEO and founder of Ecos. Ecos is a global innovation lab. We've been running this from Brazil. We started in Brazil, moved to Australia back in 2017. We kick off here. So we're out and about. So we met Ben 10 years ago. So probably the first meetup. So we've been running a few courses, projects with large organizations. And this is an open course we're going to be running here in Sydney, which is a design thinking and AI approach. So we're pretty much approaching design thinking as we call a creative entity, or this creative thing, joining the creative process. And tonight we're gonna have a panel, a judge for the prize. We're gonna be prizing, there'll be 2 tickets for you for free. It's a $900 ticket. As a way to give back to the community. We've been out there since 15 years already running this business. So it'll be a pleasure to have one of you on board. You have to work hard to win the prize. There'll be 2 tickets. They'll run the first one, the first place and the second place. And Frank is gonna be your judge. So I'll let him decide. And thanks for that.
And I can vouch for it's an awesome day, so work hard, earn that ticket.
And it has been great to have that partnership for such a long period of time, because I know in our early days we were talking about how do we partner up, and I think it's great to have you in the ecosystem continuing to have a presence in Australia, so thank you. Let's skip past it. No, but just a quick call out to the organisers. So obviously Ben, our illustrious leader, Kate and Kylie, who unfortunately can't be here today. Kate's gallivanting around Europe. I think Kylie's on holidays as well, so some of us are doing it tough, aren't we? And obviously myself. And coming up over the next couple of months, so next month's meetup's going to be about identifying your superpower and telling your story with Justin Ding. She has a very good business perspective on design as well, which I'm pretty sure she'll share with the group as well. We've also got South by Southwest. We've got an open area. Did you want to talk to that, Ben? Or
I'll do a quick cue. So you might see this one is actually Australia Design Thinking. So this is a collaboration, a collective that we've been forming over the last little while. So we'll have Melbourne kicked off, you might have seen, their first meetup last week, which was awesome. Top work to Mickey and Rach for making that happen. Adelaide started earlier this year, and then Brisbane and Byron were previously IXDA, and they've rebadged over to Design Thinking to make it a broader. So we're going to do this one as Australia Design Thinking. As Lucas was just saying, we've negotiated to be in a public space, so you don't need a South by pass to be able to come and hang out. And if you do want to buy a ticket, then hit me up, because I've got a 10% promo code off the South by tickets. So hit me up on that, and then we're wrapping up the year with our content part of it in November, which is our annual State of the Design Nation. So this year we'll have Ben Crothers again, who's been doing it since the beginning, as one of the judges on the Good Design Awards. So reflections on what's happening, what trends, not just the winners, but what else has been entered in. And Neela's going to be the co-star again, like she was last year. So plenty coming on, and we'll probably have a little something to announce soon about an end of year mega meetup as well.
Yay.
So put the 27th of November as a placeholder in your calendar for now as well. Have fun.
So now we get on to the main event. I want to introduce Frank Newman. I only met Frank last year, but I know he's probably well known to a lot of people in the design community. And we started talking about the concept of creativity and play and some of the stuff he's done. So he's done some really amazing things in the Sydney ecosystem, probably even broader than that, like to the extent where he's had installations in the Opera House and a number of major things out there with concepts of Vivid and so he's quite well known in that space. He's been doing a lot of mentoring and coaching within that startup ecosystem, particularly in the space of creativity and play. And he's going to share a technique that you can use for ideation tonight, which is going to be a lot of fun, which sort of gets to the wicked solutions for wicked problems. And I always remember when I first learned about design thinking and design thinking being the perfect or set toolkit or approach to solving wicked problems where you don't know what the solution is because it's very exploratory. And so tonight's going to be looking at wicked solutions to solve wicked problems. I don't want to go into too much more detail to let Frank go into that, but I'm going to love the idea. It's going to be a lot of very, very playful. Some of you might get arrested tonight, by the way, so just be careful. But Frank, please join us on stage.
Thanks, Lucas. Hi everybody, yes, my name is Frank, as accused. So thanks for having me, it's great to be here. Where's the clicker? Okay, so I set up a thing a while ago called Mish Mash Museum. So we're going to be working on a problem which I'm going to present to you tonight around Mish Mash Museum. But to do that, I'm basically going to ask you to help me think through this problem. So I'm going to work through a couple of really effective innovation sort of methods that I've learnt across the years and applied them in lots of different contexts. And then I'm going to ask you to apply them to this problem that Mish Mash has. So that's the deal. So I'm going to teach you something, you're going to apply that, and then hopefully Mish Mash will come alive and we can credit tonight as the birthplace of Mish Mash Museum. How does that sound? Woo! Okay, good stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do is there's going to be, we're going to sort of have to rush through the first one a little bit because we're starting a little bit later, but we're going to do a collaborative, what I'm calling a collaborative intelligence activity, otherwise called getting your art on. So we're going to make some art, so I hope you're not scared of making art. We're going to do that together because it's going to be collaborative. It'll get messy, you might sort of make something you didn't expect, and that's going to warm you up. That's going to basically get the creative juices flowing, and then I'm going to really then, after that, sort of go into what the problem is that Mish Mash Museum has, and then we're going to learn another technique, which is called deviant thinking, and we're going to apply that technique to the problem of Mish Mash Museum. Then afterwards, we're all going to go to the pub and talk about it. Okay, so you ready?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so so I'm going to give you a whole bunch of instructions now. So what you need to do is everyone needs to get a piece of paper. On your table there is paper and there is blue tack. Everyone grab one bit of paper and put 4 very small bits of blue tack in each of the corners of the paper and stick it down in front of you. So small bits of blue tack because there's not heaps, so if you run out, other tables will have some. You can use the tape if you want. You prefer to use the blue tape if you can. The tape will come in later.
You go the first.
In each of the corners?
Yeah.
And then stick it down in front of you.
Okay, that's easy.
So it doesn't move. Okay. Then, what I want you to do is grab 2 pencils. So there's a bunch of pencils in front of you. There should be enough for 2 in every group. If there's not, just grab 1. Be intentional in the colour you pick. Choose a colour you like. or a colour you don't. So make it a decision. One table's only got one colour, so you guys have got your... Excellent. Great colour to choose. Okay. How are we going? Has everybody still with me? Okay, got your paper stuck down in front of you. You've got 2 pencils. Okay, what you're going to do is put the pencils in your dominant hand. If you're right-handed, put that in your right hand. If you're left-handed, put them in your left hand. But you should put the pencils in your dominant hand and draw. Now, with your other hand, you're going to put that on your face. You're going to close your eyes, and you're going to use the hand. So my non-dominant hand is my left hand. I'm going to trace my face, and with the pencils, I'm going to make the lines that the other hand makes. If I go this way, the pencils go this way. If I go down, they go down. I'm going to try and basically trace my face. You're going to trace your face, and you're going to draw it. Keep your eyes closed the whole time. Okay? So you're not looking at the drawing. So the pencils are on the page. 2 pencils. Pencils are on the page, and with your other hand, you're sketching your face, you're sort of tracing your face with the other hand, and the pencils are following. It's like mirroring. If the hand goes to the left, the pencils go to the left. They go down, they go down. So you're basically creating an image on the page of your face, but it's going to be, you don't know what it looks like because you're not looking at it. So keep your eyes closed and press the pencils down quite hard. Okay? Off you go.
When is his face like these? Are we talking noses there? Or?
Your nose, your eyebrows, your chin, your forehead, your face.
Every day.
If it's on your face, it's valid. Keep your eyes closed.
No, you draw your face.
Don't forget your ears.
No, just
Alright, now, alright, pencils down. Have a look what you did.
To be honest, Mark's improvement.
Okay. It's surprising. Okay. Alright, now listen up. Here we go. This is the very beginning. We've got about 5 stages to go through. So now what we're going to do is the next bit. What we're going to do is you're going to probably have to stand up for this bit. What we're going to do is we're going to find a connection between each of the drawings of each of the people at the table. So for example, you might, so we're going to connect the drawings, we're going to find a link. So if you've gone off the page a tiny bit, or if there's a line which goes right to the edge of the page, you're going to try and meet somebody else's paper, and you're going to find a connection. So they might sort of meet like this, or so they're basically going to, we've got 4 people down here, you'll end up with a sort of a large drawing of 4 all connecting each other. So you just need to find, you might have to fold the page a little bit. You need to search for the connection with each other. So this might be a little bit of push and pull, a bit of conversation, but basically stick them down on the table so there's a connection.
We can fold it, or we can fold it, you'll right there to the edge there.
or wherever there's a line.
So you might have to stand up and move over. So you should end up with a nice series of like one big artwork, which is 4 faces, or 5 faces, or however you can put that table. Make sure it's stuck down. So reapply that blue tack so it's stuck to the table. Yeah, they often end up quite Picasso-esque. Okay, right, now, listen up everybody, just pause for a second where you are. Pause for a second where you are. So, what happens next? The next bit's quite important. If you've got drinks on the table, just put them to the side. Put put them to the side because the next bit's going to involve you moving around a little bit. Okay. Okay. So now this is where it starts to get a bit crazy. It's great. Now make sure they're stuck down with the blue tabs. Make sure they're here. Make sure your pages are stuck down. So wherever they've ended up, the blue tack should now be reapplied to make sure so it's like one artwork.
Do you think like these?
Okay. So now, what we're going to do is you are all going to you can grab the same pencils or grab one pencil if you want, but what you're going to do is you are going to connect lines anywhere on the page. This new artwork that you've got, there's the 4-page, you're going to go from one piece of paper and you're going to cross over other bits of paper and you're going to reconnect that line to another part of the drawing. So you're going to be connecting faces. They're going to be connecting each other. So you're going to start, just keep drawing, you're going to be drawing across as many pages as you can. Now let your pencils wander around. They're going to bump into other people's pencils. If they do, have a little bit of a pencil dance. Make them swirl around each other. Don't be literal. Enjoy the moment of the pencils moving around. So keep moving the pencils around, connecting them. Swap colours if you want, grab another colour. This is where you start to put in a bit of playfulness. So you're going to really, if you're loving drawing circles or doing dots, then do that. Just start to add, you're making this an artwork, you're sort of really embellishing it, you're adding texture, you're adding sort of dots and colours and now without communicating, without speaking to each other, I want everybody to follow one person's lines they're making at the table. So one person silently becomes the leader and everybody does what they're doing. So if they're doing dots, everybody starts doing dots. If they're doing really swirly lines, then everybody else starts to follow their line making. So I want you to start, one person becomes the leader. Number two.
There we go.
We're trying to give you music with systems being troubled. If you want to swap leader, if somebody else wants to grab the lead, then you can. If you want to change the rules a little bit on your table and start sort of going back to the original sort of playing with each other's lines and dancing around each other, do that. There's no real rules, but if you want to follow a leader, you can. Now here's where it's going to get a little funky. I want you, one person from a table, I want you to go to another table. So let's see some swapping of tables. So swap a table. So move to another table, have a bit of play, and contribute into the drawing that they've made. Be bold. Make some bold marks.
We're going to set this.
Make your last couple of decisions. Do something different you haven't done yet. If you haven't used shapes, use a shape. If you haven't used dots, use dots. If you haven't, do a random letter or a random kind of image.
Oh, thank you.
run up to somebody else's table and do a little kind of mark on theirs. All interfacing, yeah. Within the next 30 seconds, find yourself back to your original table. Within the next 30 seconds. 30 seconds, go. So now what I want you to do is I want you to take your original drawing back. Take your drawing that was yours, okay? And I want you to see what's there. I want you to see what's happened. What is this drawing now? You've had maybe 10 or 15 people had a go at it. So you started this, now there's other people that have collaborated on it. Now the final part of this exercise is I want you to take what is in front of you and I want you to find a creature in there. I want you to draw, you've got a couple of minutes to basically turn this into a creature or a character or a monster. So then just finish it off. Start to bring it to a close, give it its final little touches. The horns or the ears or the eyes, the tail, the wings. Have a look around at what other people have done on the table and then take a photo of it if you want. You know, quite often these end up quite successful. Some of them are kind of crazy and weird and beautiful and strange and a bit sort of confronting. So for those of not everybody's a drawer. So there's some really beautiful drawings. So I'm looking around here, there's some really wonderful drawings. So quite often people do this exercise and they don't draw every day. They don't go around their life, making marks and kind of, using paper and pencils but it takes you to a place where you've made something. But not only did you make it, but other people contributed. So it wasn't about you making a monster. I didn't start off saying, right, make a monster, what's it going to be? And you had to think, oh, what is a monster? And what is this character? But you've been assisted by, it's the collaborative bit of this exercise. Getting your art on often involves other people. So this is a really fundamental part to what I'm going to talk when I start talking about what Mish Mash Museum is. Collaboration is at the core of it. But so right now, take a photo of this if you want to. You don't have to, but if you want to sort of, so you've got a memory of it. Because the next thing you're going to do is you're going to pick your drawing up and hold it in both hands. After you've taken a photo. Grab it in both hands and rip it up. Rip it up into as many small bits as you can. Rip it into small. Enjoy the sound of the rip. Enjoy the sound of the paper tearing. Rip it up. You can be really methodical. You can tear it into strips. You can tear it into small things. And then put it in the table with all the other bits of your colleagues that you've been working with, your friends, your new friends or old friends. Mush them all together and mash them up. Make a nice little pile. A nice little pile of confetti. Snow like confetti. Now, at this point, this activity, quite often when I'm doing this, this activity can go in lots of different ways. But tonight I'm going to push it. I'm going to give you one instruction, which will move it forward. But you're going to do that instruction as I now then talk about what Mish Mash Museum is. But I'll just give you a bit of an example. So one of the things that quite often I do at this point is people then use these little bits of ripped up bits of paper to create a portrait of themselves. So it becomes another portrait. And then it becomes a collaborative portrait or a collaborative exercise where they have to make on the table or on the floor a large monster. And that's silent, they have to do it silently. So you can use it to write words, it can be once you've got these bits of paper, they're another form of mark making. And so it can go lots of different ways, this exercise from this point. So once you've got ripped up bits of paper, you can do lots of different things. But tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to make jewelry. So I'm going to use the table in front, grab this, and you can do it, rip a little bit, okay, then just plonk it into the middle. So take the there you go, and lift it up, and you've got a sort of nice little kind of, you've got a tiara, okay. So what we're going to do is use the tape, and take a small bit of tape. You could make a bracelet, you can make a little lapel thing. So basically, as I'm talking and telling you what Mish Mash Museum is, just keep fussing away, making something to adorn either yourself or adorn something else. But you can use this to be creative with. So just be tactile but also keep listening. Okay, so Mish Mash Museum, what is it? So keep listening as you do this, as you keep making. So Mish Mash Museum is a vision to create an interactive play space. So it's a play space where we work with the artworks of really established artists, famous artists, and we take their two-dimensional art and we create playable art. We create immersive environments. We create environments which people move through, where they play through. It's facilitated, like this event has been facilitated. They make things together. It's family-based, and the idea is that we set up a permanent venue somewhere in Sydney where we make ambitious artworks which just sit in that space for maybe sort of a year or a year and a half. And people would come, families would come, and they would make together. Because when people make things together, when people, like you have tonight, there's a sense of joy that emerges. But when you do that as a group, there's memories that are formed. There's bonds. That's called social cohesion. When people create together, they share that memory. When people and families do that together, they have that's something which they hold on to for life. When they've had a really good time all together, that's something they take away and they can remember forever. When people do it with strangers, people from different faiths, different kind of walks of life, different suburbs, that's literally people coming together and creating the world together. So Mish Mash Museum, as much as it's about art, it's about bringing people together. So, and the reason why we want to do this is because we live in difficult times. The world is in a tricky place. There's a lot of forces pulling us apart. But playable art is a really beautiful way of pulling us together. It's a way of literally creating the world together. So our vision is to have a space where people from all over Sydney and whoever's in Sydney, whether they're from other countries, can come and make art together. So we're in the process of trying to set that up. So our vision is that there'd be sort of 3 to 4 different sort of galleries within this larger space. We would be taking the artwork we'd be working with really established artists, and we'd be basically interpreting their work. So if they're a two-dimensional artist, they're making paintings, we'd be interpreting it and making playable, immersive environments which people would move through and have these play experiences. Some of them would be really rambunctious play, some of them would be really deeply imaginative, reflective play. All different types of art making and creative processes would happen in Mish Mash, but at its core, it's about people connecting and collaborating. So there are lots of places which do similar things, but nowhere does it quite like what we're presenting. And one of the reasons for that is that it's deeply facilitated. So you can have an immersive space which you sort of read something and you go into it and you do something, but if the difference is where people really go to the next level with their own creativity is when it's facilitated, when there's somebody meeting you, seeing you, working with you, and you and your family, whoever's in that room, and helping you go deeper into that artwork. The bonds then are deeper, the connections are kind of more meaningful, and the memories last longer. So the facilitation is a huge part of the reason it's fundamental to Mish Mash Museum. So we're not mucking about. We want to do something that's big. We want to do something that's on scale. We're ambitious. We want to make this really beautiful and something that's a real icon in Sydney. We want it to be sort of something which people talk about. I mean, Meow Wolf, I don't know if anyone's heard of it. It's one of the most successful kind of arts businesses in the last sort of 20 years. It's huge. Team Lab, if you've heard of them, they're amazing. They're a Japanese company that've been around for about 15, 20 years now. But they're really ambitious. They do big works. So we want to play on that scale. And we've done that in other venues and in our careers. So the nuts and bolts of it, it's a venue. In the original vision, it's one venue, but it could be dispersed. It could be around a couple of different places. It's open. It's a museum, like any museum. You basically come in, you kind of pay to enter. It has holiday programs. It's a venue. I'm whizzing through this a little bit. So we're talking starting with a pop-up. We want to, we've done the business case. We've done a lot of the work. We've done the numbers. We've crunched the different scenarios. We've worked with, we're a DGR. We've got DGR1 status. Like we're legit. We're ready to go. We have everything we need to do, except the money and the venue. Thank you, Ben, for that silent, sort of slightly evil chuckle. That's what we're up to. So that's the problem which you're going to help us solve tonight. There's a massive market in children's entertainment. It's huge. The potential for Mish Mash to be a really viable business, even though we're not for profit, we're not in it for profit, but you need to make money to pay people. It's a really big market. So listen, there's nothing like this in Sydney. There's things similar to it. This is all the images in this that you're seeing in here are all from artworks which were made in projects which I ran and collaborated with other amazing artists, but they're all projects which basically I directed. And so this was an amazing work with Lego. It started with no Lego on this amazing crazy sculpture, then 10,000 kids later and 240,000 pieces of Lego later, it looked like this. It was incredible. So no one's doing anything like this, crazy big PVC pipes or Lego or other kind of interactive table stuff. There's stuff out there, but not in the way that we've facilitated it. There's certainly nothing like as crazy and silly as this. But listen, we could do this stuff because we've done it. We just need a venue and we need the money, and tonight we're going to try and solve that problem. So, no pressure, everybody. So that's Mish Mash Museum. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to teach you an activity which some of you may well know. Has anyone done any deviant thinking? Has anyone done deviant thinking? It's an activity which was from a body of work by a woman called Jennifer Thompson, who's a sort of corporate designer in sort of strategist in the States. And it's kind of had a bit of an influence in various around the world. And it's a really fun sort of way of approaching innovation. It's quite simple. It's based on the premise that being creative is not, doesn't always come with a value system. So when you are creative, it doesn't necessarily mean you're being good. When you think of one of the most creative endeavors in human history, it's the bomb, it's the nuclear bomb. It's a deeply creative and destructive thing. But it took incredible ingenuity and innovation to get there. So creativity doesn't necessarily mean good. So what deviant thinking does is it asks you to kind of go, listen, we're often our most creative when we're sometimes being a little bit deviant and a bit naughty and a bit nasty. Think of all the amazing ways that people bully other people. People do naughty things, but it doesn't mean they're not being creative. They're being incredibly creative. So what deviant thinking does, it says, let's just borrow some of that thinking for a second. Let's just go into that space for a second and then bring it back. Let's benefit from that and then use it to do good things with. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to do an activity which happens in two parts. Okay, so it's really important to remember this. It happens in two parts. The first part is the deviant bit. Okay, and everyone's all very serious and really listening to me now. So what's going to happen is I'm going to give you a task, and then that part's going to be the deviant bit. But then the second part is where we bring it back into the light, and we make it something beautiful. And there's a reason for that. Hopefully it'll become really obvious when you get to that second part. Okay, you with me still?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and address the problem of Mish Mash Museum, which is thank you, the venue and the money. In fact, I express it slightly differently because that's kind of really putting sort of, space and money on it. We want to make it happen. We want to bring Mish Mash to life. It's probably a better way to approach this. We want to bring it to life. We want it to live. One of those ways could be in a venue. There's money to set it up, but there could be other ways. So I want to keep it open for you. Okay, so part one. You need to get into groups of like 2 to 3. So if you're a table of 6, maybe 2 groups. If you're a table, so either 2s or 3s. And you're going to work in this group for the rest of the evening. So go ahead and quickly organise yourself into your groups, just quickly nominate who's probably the people closest to you. Okay, alright, so what you do, here is your task, okay. You need to come up with a project that will raise the money or get Mish Mash off the ground that will get you arrested. Okay? So you need to come up with a project, something that will get Mish Mash off the ground that will get you arrested. The longer your jail sentence, the better your project. Be deviant. In fact, be a little bit evil. Really go there. You've got 5 minutes to come up with your project. Okay, now write it down, dot points. It's got to be doable. The next part is sharing is caring. Okay, so that means that we're going to hear a few of these ideas. So this is, remember that this is a game, okay? This is an exercise. I've asked you to particularly reach into that sort of dark part or that kind of playfully dark part and go there, okay? These are ideas. This is not you. You've been asked to play this, okay? So, and also remember that we are equals. We have the capacity to do dark stuff, okay? So we're using this to get somewhere else. So, which group would like to read out their idea? Okay, great. Thank you, because that's the hardest thing is to get the first group going. Okay, all right.
We are going to start a fake charity to stop the immigrants, and we're going to get all the money off the racists in Australia.
Is that kind of me up, is it?
You are now on the front bench.
Or the front page. Whoops. Okay, who's got another one? Who's got one where? Okay, great. Look at the hands go up. Amazing. I'm going to come over here.
Unfortunately, we have to set fires to all the nursing homes.
And how do we? So do we get the insurance money or something? How do we? We're not sure about that. Okay, that's good. Okay.
We got a two-pronged strategy for the space. We're going to take a hostile takeover of the Art Gallery of New South Wales in our red overalls, clown mask, keep it in theme. And for the money, we're going to hold some Murdochs hostage.
Thank you so much.
We can find other museums so people can go to any museum, so they can only go to this museum. Yeah.
That's called a funnel. It's a funnel.
We decided to make a threat or a perception that Indigenous art, the native endangered species, were at risk. To then people would contribute using this art method. They would unwittingly give their details enough points so we could scan them and take all the money from their bank accounts.
Nice. Okay, there's a definite business model behind that one.
So ours is a very detailed plan. It's a 3-phase plan. First is we both marry old billionaires, and then it's die a natural death. That's how we secure the land. Natural death. And that's how we secure the land for money. We frame Mish Mash as an international university and get a lot of students signed up. But there is no university, so good luck with that. And for marketing, we frame Mish Mash as a child care center, and we get a lot of kids, but we're basically kidnapping them and using them for user research and also marketing. Yeah.
Parents will drop their children every day for daycare, so we get their money as a continuous income as well.
Awesome. We've got time for a couple more. Over here.
Thanks, Frank. Joyce and I have got a math lab at the local school, so the kids are both the labourers and the customers, so they sign on to their school friends. So we've got both a venue and an income stream. Joyce?
Amazing, both the customers and...
we were going to start our own small mafia and create a group of standover men who would get all the businesses in Sydney to pay danger money, and that we would then kidnap their kids if they didn't pay out. And that would be also side funded by side projects in fake designer goods, trafficking drugs, casinos, and prostitution. And as a hour to get our own venue and have enough money to start our project.
Amazing. And that's a small mafia. Okay, amazing. Okay, so listen, here's where it goes. So everyone's had some ideas, everyone's got different sort of ideas about how they would, you know, raise the money or somehow get Mish Mash off the ground. This is part 2 of the activity, okay? This is where you now take there's something in your idea, right? There's a kernel of goodness, or there's a kernel of activity. In fact, there's no goodness in that one. But there's something about that idea that if you think about it and try and bring it back into the light, that you can save it, you can make it a good thing. So what is it? So if it's kind of I don't want to throw these solutions at you, but basically you've got to sort of find a way that idea could, what is it that's driving the idea that could make it possible and legal and beautiful and actually doable? Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to write it down. So think about what you come up with and what is the driver of your idea. Can you find a legal way to do that? Can you find a beautiful way of doing it? What is the essential, the sort of cornerstone of that idea? Write it up, put in dot points, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay, so here's the nice bit. So we're going to hear from some of these ideas, and so what would be really good is if the idea is, who feels that they came up with a good idea by the end of that kind of went somewhere else. The journey, not only the kind of the idea itself, but the journey from the deviant to the idea that you came up with was interesting. You guys stand here?
Yes.
Yeah? You're happy to present it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to hand you the mic.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so our first idea was quite dangerous, and our second idea was built on it, where we decided instead of having a museum and a big budget, we would instead take the art to the people. So instead of building a big museum, we would build containers full of the material that a facilitator might need and take that to local communities. And then it would build capacity within the community to deliver that type of event going forward.
And Sydney Harbour Bridge pylon sponsorship.
Oh yeah, go, you go.
The other idea, because our first one did involve the Sydney Harbour Bridge, was the suggestion that people could promote their children's artworks on the pylons of the Sydney Harbour Bridge like they did for Vivid, but have that a yearly thing where we can showcase what's happening in the museum.
Nice. Thank you. And so I'm assuming that there'd be some kind of, as you took the art, referring to the first idea, that as you went around to different communities, it'd be like a little mini festival in that, and people would pay money to be part of that festival and get councils involved.
And we look to people like big banks for community grants, donations.
Big banks, community grants, foundations, yeah.
Fund this as well, and they promote it through their networks.
Okay, thank you. Awesome. Okay, so that's and the dangerous idea. What was the journey? You said it was.
Well, we were going to steal some kids. Drive to the Sydney Harbour Bridge, stop the trucks with the kids, and then do some painting.
Stop the trucks with the kids. I like that.
Yeah. So rather than bring the kids to us, we decided to go to the kids.
Yes. Okay. So. Okay. Good. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, better. A nice example of kind of, the journey is good from that crazy deviant, but the essence of it is still there. Who's got one they'd like to present? Okay. And if you can go from the deviant to the good.
Hello. Our group came up with various ways to shut down a public venue and hijack and just hold things for ransom. So we had things like removing the sales of the Opera House and making it an open air venue, and people can just deal with it unless they want to pay the ransom. Or taking over a plane and holding everyone hostage and raising the money that way. Or taking over a school and doing it, and you know, the kids are already there, so that works. Or taking over Bondi Beach and threatening to drain it, and you know, why not? Anyway, and then we were like, well, basically everything involves taking over some kind of venue, and yeah, we kind of split off into a couple of ideas, one more developed than the other. We thought, you know, given the Harbour Bridge sometimes closes for things like marathons and things, why not close the Harbour Bridge for a couple of hours on a Sunday morning and, you know, let a bunch of kids do, you know, chalk on the ground or whatever. You could do a huge activity with a huge mass of people. Obviously there's some, you know, there could be some red tape and safety and insurance issues. But again, we were like, well, the people who organise the marathons worked it out. Surely there's a solution there somewhere. And you know, you could hold it early in the morning on a Sunday. Often, like the marathons happen, and you know, it's for a couple of hours. Kids have a short attention span, so it doesn't need to be for a full day. And yeah, potentially because it's so public, like you could, yeah, probably get the councils involved with funding, make it a real like public art activity. And I just had a thought then, you could almost set it up like a bit of a takeover. Like you don't always do it in the same place, you just pick a new venue. It's not even necessarily, I don't know how you market it, but also keep it quiet, but it could be cool if it was like a pop-up somewhere and people were just like, oh yes, it's the Mish Mash Museum doing their thing, they popped up here, yeah, we're gonna go there.
Like raves.
Yeah.
You know, where you get the quick text a couple of hours.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of a takeover is a really powerful one. I think that's great. Thanks, and that's a really interesting. You found the core of the idea, which was takeover, and applied it in a good way. Okay, all right. So just I'm mentioning that just in terms of the innovation process of how you get from one thing to another, and why go via the Deviant is because you're finding that one thing. Sometimes it gets you there, it gets you to a different place. Not always. But sometimes it really does. Who's got another one they'd like to present? You guys.
We had a few. One of them, the Deviant version, was run it as a charity or church. The positive version is run it as a charity or church. But another idea was to find empty houses and just take over the property while the owner is away. The positive way could be loan spaces when the homeowners are away, like an Airbnb for events, or hijacking events that are already happening was the next. Just take over, sign up as another vendor, but do your own stuff. And the good version becomes run it as a sort of a kids component, as a sideshow of other bigger events that might be running.
Thank you. There's some nice ideas in that. There is a thing called car park festivals where people take over. They just pay for the car space. Like, you know, on the street, and they just put a band there, just in a car space, where they pay for the 2 hours. So that's a concept. Thank you. So who else did you guys want to? Okay.
Our original concept was quite dark. We decided that there's a lot of sick children in hospitals and a lot of juicy organs that could be harvested and sold to organize together. So that was how we were originally going to get our revenue. How did we get to something positive? Well, we started thinking, wouldn't it be better if there was like a prevention? So we went from originally feeding in and marking children to be sent off and harvested. How can we change that and get less people into the hospital? So then we came up with the idea of doing a kind of installation festival in somewhere like the Domain, where the idea is building a gigantic recycled mishmash run body and partnering with the government and creating this interactive magic school bus, shrink yourself, walk through the human body and play and learn about like good health at the same time. We talked about the revenue would still be generated through ticket sales after we create a lot of FOMO on socials, and it would also kind of use that recycled materials, partnering with like reverse garbage and stuff. So it's kind of getting the excitement happening for Mish Mash, and then yeah, when it all tears down, hopefully we'll have sold enough money to make it real.
Amazing, thank you. As much as we have talked a lot about there being a relationship with health, I do like that that's super explicit and actually being, making it about health in an explicit way. I've made one omission tonight, and there is another member of Mish Mash here, and that's Klaas, who's sitting over here. Klaas is on the board, and so Klaas is an amazing human in lots of different ways, but he brings an amazing amount of energy to Mish Mash, and we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Klaas's amazing energy. Thank Klaas, I didn't acknowledge that at the beginning. We're a small board, but everyone's very active, and it's an incredible. Who else is part of a board? Is anyone else part of a board here? Who's on the board? 1, 2, kind of. So being on the board is an amazing thing. So a huge round of kudos to those people that are on boards. It's an amazing thing. It's your generosity. It's really good. A lot of things wouldn't happen if it wasn't for you. But yeah, so I just wanted to say that. So thanks, Klaas. Okay, who's got another one they want to present? We're rapidly running out of time, and there's one more thing I want to do after this.
So we started by wanting to raise money by saying that we're actually going to just focus on white children. So white, only white children. Because we want to. You see the link in a sec. You see the link, right? So we're going to sell. This is a white children only created art. Yes, it's in suburbs, but we're going to sell it and we're going to raise money with a lot of investors. That's the original idea. Then I thought, hey, if we're going to do that, why don't we associate it with prom? He'll love white kids. And we can sell digital tokens. Awesome, right? So we could actually sell Bitcoin, whatever electronic coin, that Trump might actually, support, and we will raise lots of money. So that was that Deviant. And then moving on to the, what we could take from that is to actually, if we do that, we can then actually get the children to actually create art with the artists to create NFTs. And that could actually be an option where you can actually have a digital studio with NFTs and physical one, and you can sell that to raise money if you want to create other events. So that was
Amazing. I don't know enough about NFTs, but I'm hoping that sounds like there is like an idea in that, it's an option in that. Anyone who knows more about that, I think you know a little bit about that. That might be an option for us to talk about more. So there's two there. I'm literally clocking the ideas I'm hearing, and I'm thinking about some of them. So thank you so much. Who else has got an idea they'd like to present? Here. Yep. Oh, sorry. Yep.
Back to the mafia.
Back to the small mafia.
The link between Mafia and our fresh idea is community. So it's bringing community together. Now I can't read your handwriting, sorry. The antidote to social cohesion, this is the antidote to technology and reliance on screens is, the antidote, social isolation. Yeah, social isolation, social cohesion. That's what we're thinking, but I'll let you do the talking because I can't see.
Thanks, Sarah. It was basically about creating the perspective of more of a business network and promoting social cohesion with people, everybody in the community being brought in to contribute something, and then also receiving something back. So businesses that contribute would have a day that they could use the space, and that could be like a development day for their business, or some kind of learning development, as well as individuals in the community.
Amazing. That is a really powerful idea. I can see that making sense. If we had a space there being to actually take the idea of Mish Mash, which is ultimately social cohesion, but to open it up as a place to make it explicit for other businesses to come in. Is that what you're sort of saying? So in that sense, breathing into that idea and making it a sort of a broader business ecology around that sort of idea. Yeah, amazing. That's good. So I mean, we know that we're trying to make a business model that just in and of itself works. We know there are other spin-off kind of value adds to it. We just haven't been indulging in those as much, but we know they are there. So that's a great example of where all those ideas could go. Anyone else? One more.
So our original idea is to sell meth at the school, at the school canteen, and then have the children facilitate it. But then the good idea is that parents and citizens run the school canteen. They will sell items at the event, and the event is hosted by students and Mish Mash, where students make art out of food. And so the money collected from selling items is going to go to charity. Yeah.
Thank you. It's a little bit like sort of the Bunnings sausage, but done better. That would be cool, you know. It's sort of like them to give money. The people that sell the sausages at Bunnings, and that's for charities. They make that money. So, but is that what you mean? So they sit in the canteen, the money from like the art making of food would be amazing. Okay, I want to make sure we finish on time. So I want to ask one question. So in a sense, I just want to ask you to reflect on this as a process, because I'm also conscious this is something which Mish Mash takes away, but I also want you to take away something. So just, I would like any thoughts or reflections on how you could use any of these activities either in your specific work context or another context. It doesn't have to be work, with something else you do, but is there something that you could use, is there some way you could use the kind of the first activity we did, which was the drawing, the face drawing, the ripping up, or is there something about this you could use in something else you do? So I want you to just think about how it could be applied. You don't have to speak out, but yeah, so go, show that. Yeah, okay, go.
I love that we do all this physically, but in my teams we actually work virtually. So I wanted your thoughts, how we translate some of the ideas to a virtual environment.
Yeah, interesting. Some of this work, yes, it is possible. It's definitely possible. There are ideas contained. So, for example, when we were doing the paper, and I said you could draw, you could use the bits of paper to draw. There's a similar concept which we used to do in those short shared drawing spaces, where you basically say, hey, we're going to draw a character together. There's going to be two people that start. But you can't talk. You're going to say, I'm going to draw the first line, you're going to draw the second, and we're going to draw a monster. You just have to start drawing and discover the character that emerges. So the same concepts are driving that activity as are driving this, but just slightly in a digital space. And same with the drawing. You can do collaborative drawing in those spaces quite easily, because essentially it's about collaboration. If I was unpacking this as an activity in a more educational context, I'd spend a lot more time talking about how, I'd ask you questions like, what happened? What did we do? And you'd say things like, oh, we did things together, and I'd get us to really break it down. I'd say, well, how did the collaboration happen? And I'd really sort of build language, explicit language around the types of collaboration that happened. But with the sort of 3 minutes that's left, I just want to ask you how you think you could apply this. Is there a way that you could apply it? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that also ties into your question. Is like the underlying mechanism is almost like you facilitate ideation through make people make a detour, rather than what's the solution to it. You facilitate from making a detour to get from a different angle to a different solution. It's also online, right? It's like more like asking yourself, how can I make people go in a different direction through prompts or whatever technique?
Yeah.
That made this.
And in this case, it was the Deviant, but in other contexts, I would talk about people. I would say, if we're going to, you want to describe something through a narrative. So, does anyone use narrative in their work, where they ask people to talk through it, to describe it as a story? And I would say, let's talk about it in abstract language first, which is that detour bit, rather than describing it specifically and making a story that this person did that to that person. There's a sort of drama. We naturally create drama when we tell stories, because that's what a good story is. But if you indulge in the abstract first, then when you come back to the story, your story is so much richer because you've got abstract language which is metaphoric and therefore deeper, and because people make meaning out of it. So the detour bit, 100%. Any other thoughts about how you could apply this in your context or any other context, either the first activity or the second?
I think there's something in taking away the natural barriers that people think constrain them. So often that's inherently the difference between art and design in any case. So if you take those away, which is the deviant side, and just said there's no rules, what would we do if there was no rules? And then ask people what parts
Yeah, definitely. And the concept of rules and no rules in art and design is so interesting, because sometimes you need heaps of rules to make people feel free, and sometimes you need no rules to kind of, so quite often I will start really heavily rule-based, but you slowly remove them to the point where people then feel really free. So I was worried tonight that people wouldn't want to read out their Deviant idea, because I thought, oh, people are going to be not worried. So I had, but you clearly bloody well weren't. And so I had prepared, and which was a rule I had in my mind, just in case no one's going to read, I was going to get you all to scrunch up your bits of paper and throw them around. So then it anonymised the piece, so I had that going, okay, so that was a rule in my mind, I go, this is a way that I could break that, because then it would lay you free. So quite often, so that the control and freedom and the rules and structure and unstructure, in facilitation, in playable art facilitation, we start with quite a lot of structure and then slowly remove it to the point where people feel that they are able to do the thing they need to do and be really creative. And then if they need to go back into the rules, you go back to the rules. Any other thoughts about how you can apply it? Somebody,
What I got from that exercise in dealing with what you're trying to achieve, I guess doing the illegal thing is doing something that it takes great risk or has great risk, which really, to my mind, applies really simply to what you need to do. You're not going to get a shitload of money and a great venue unless you put something enormous on the line. What I learned from this is we do something illegal, or in terms of something more realistic. You can't just get a load of money for being a nice guy. You've got to really take an enormous risk, or you've got to put something incredible on the line that is going to win people over and convince them. And I guess that's what I got from this, and that's the trick. And if we all knew how to do that, we'd all be millionaires.
How to freak out the board member in the room.
Yeah, that's right. He's the guy who's telling me to take more risks or something. No, honestly, you're right. You couldn't have said it better. I mean, that's so true. There's a moment, I think, and anyone that's done the entrepreneurial kind of work will know that there's a moment where there's a risk point where you've got to jump off the thing. And I'm not quite sure what that point is, but that's definitely going to happen. And you're dead right. I think we're at time. It is 8:02, so I'm conscious that we need to finish on time. So listen, thank you so much. There is a prize to be won. So what we're going to do. Because we didn't get through everybody's idea, if you want to go into a running for the prize, can you write up your idea and then send it to me, and then I'll chat with the jury, and then we'll make a decision. So is that okay? The good idea. Well, there was an idea. The second prize is the most deviant. And first prize is the most potentially kind of the most viable. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you so much, everybody. You've been great. I've learned a lot. I've got a lot. I've literally my brain's spinning, so I'm going to write things down. And if you could, before you go, just take all your get everything that's rubbish, put it in the bin. I can't say take your drawings home with you because you can't. And I mean, you could if you wanted to, but. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Frank. I hope everybody gets something out of this in regards to a few techniques to use. We do really want to, please send your ideas through, because Frank is really looking for ideas. So it's not just a competition. You're actually helping a social enterprise. You're helping a great cause. So just with the goodness of your heart, even though we came here to be deviants today, try and find the nice side of you to contribute. And then we do have a great reward from Ricardo and Echoes for those that contribute. So thank you very much, Frank. Another round of applause for Frank.
And if you want to actually work on your idea with me, put that in the email.
And just one final reminder for the next meetup in October. So we're back at ThoughtWorks next month, and we've got Jocelyn Ding talking about how to identify your superpower and tell your story. And it's really trying to bring the concept of design and business together. It's really impactful. So thank you very much. We're moving on to the Occidental for those that want to hang around and have a drink. Oh, hang on. Oh, yes, that's right. Don't forget to take a selfie or take a photo with our artist in the corner from Shapeshifters. That's an amazing, amazing live scribe. Fantastic.